welcome back to the second episode of The Jerk. Today we'll be talking about women's culture, abortion rights, and we're going to start by introducing our panel. So on my right we have...
My name is Sarah Salage.
Raekwon Pride, me again from episode 1.
My name is Ronnie.
And I'm Vanessa. Okay. So it's Women's History Month. What do you guys know about feminism? Like, would you define feminism?
I think you should go first, Ronnie.
You can go first.
Okay. Well, I guess in simplest terms, it's like the advocacy for women's rights. But when we look at American feminism, we know it has roots in being ironically unfair to women of color, because it was really started up in America because black men were given the right to vote, and white women felt offended by that because how could people who were formerly enslaved be able to vote before me, a person who's technically, I guess, second in society, only behind white men.
Yeah.
I look at feminism like that as well, but I think in also current society, I look at feminism as... I look at feminists as people that just want equal rights to men. I mean, there are so many instances where we are just beneath men. And I think that all we're looking for is equality. I think a lot of people have like the misconception of feminism as we hate men and we want to rule the world and this and that. But we just want to be equal. And I think that a lot of the times a lot of men are not, don't consider themselves feminists because of the misconceptions of feminism. But I think once everybody realizes what the true meaning of feminism is and it's just us wanting equal rights, I think that's when things will change.
Okay, so feminism, I'll tell you there's not like one true definition for feminism. There's like, feminism is like more of a concept and it can change between places. And it also like evolve over time, such as first wave of feminism in the US is not the same as occurring now. Like as Raekwon said, that first wave feminism started because white women weren't able to vote. They decided to start feminism just to be able to vote because black people had the right to vote themselves. Also, it's also nuanced because feminism sometimes doesn't include people of color, right? So then you have another name for people of color who want feminism. And such as feminism in the US is not the same as feminism in other countries, such as, there could be different things fighting in the US while feminism in, like, let's say, for example, Afghanistan, where they're fighting for education, rights to, just basically live. It's not the same as in the US. So in my personal opinion, I don't feel like feminism has one set definition. It's more like ever changing, ever evolving, depending on like the period and location it's in.
Okay. So would you say feminism include all women, including women of color?
I think that there is two different types of feminism. I think there's white girl feminism and I think there's black girl feminism or people of color feminism. I mean, I recently learned in one of my classes that feminism has been around way longer than when white women got together at the Seneca Convention and kind of started it up. Black women had to teach themselves feminism in their own rights outside of a classroom because they weren't allowed in the same classrooms where it was actually being taught by instructors. White women had their own version of that. And back then, when white women were learning about feminism and considered themselves feminists, that didn't include black women, and that didn't include women of color at all. So I think there's definitely a difference, and to this day I think that there's a difference. I think that more people are starting to get educated in the fact that there are different aspects of feminism within each community and each person. But yeah, I definitely think it's different. Not everybody has the same definition of, or not everybody is a certain type of way of a feminist. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I do feel like that feminism does leave certain people out, and feminism isn't the same for everyone because not every woman is facing the same type of issues. Like a white woman and a black woman, they might have some of the same core issues, like Roe v. Wade being overturned and things like that. But then you look at things like in the workplace, how they're perceived, or just out in general society. So it kind of depends, like who are you asking and what problems do they have that need to be addressed.
Okay.
So does feminism include people of color? like I said before, like it's more depending like where like you probably have like multiple groups of feminism, like feminists in America who include and don't include like people of color. So it's not just like just one set things that include people of color. It's like more who does it. That's why like it's you can disagree with some form of feminism, like extreme feminism, where they're like, oh yeah, you know, kill a man, this, that, and the third. Even though I don't like that's like the minority, because I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that's why you can like disagree with some form and another form that you can like, you know, you come with. You feel me?
Okay. So would you say feminism includes trans women?
I think it depends who you ask. Some people will say yes, some people will say no, because there's still a lot of stigma around it, and a lot of people will try to say that they are women. And you see this in all types of things, even in TV shows. I was watching this show called Good Trouble. I don't know if anyone's heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
And these group of women have like a makeup company, and they started like a campaign, I think about like menstrual products, and they had an ambassador. So they wanted the slogan to be like, people with periods, and the ambassador said, why are you saying people, not just women? And they argued, well, trans women have periods as well, and they weren't really, the ambassador wasn't really on board with that. So, and I think it depends who you ask, but I feel like the majority of people will say yes, it does include trans women.
What does Rick Wan think?
I think it does, because they are women, that's how they identify, and they're facing the same issues as biological women. Well, that and some, because they're facing more discrimination and scrutiny. I want to hear what you. I want to hear what you have to say.
Ooh, okay.
Does feminism, like, what do you mean by like, does feminism include trans women?
So when, you know, fighting for all women being equal, but because, you know, they weren't like women at birth, would you say because, oh, okay, you weren't born a woman, so that way we're not going to fight for your cause, or like you're not part of like this movement of like feminism?
So I'll say like groups of feminism include trans women with them, right? But yes, from my opinion,
Yes.
Yes.
should feminism include trans? Like, okay, me, I don't believe trans women are women because they're not born women; they're born a man. And plus, there is like with like the male body, there is like differences between like a woman and a man. So hopefully you could fully transition from a woman to a man. Like even in sports, when you see like, what was it? When trans women are included in sports with other women, it's like they dominate the field because of how they were born with like, you know, a manly body being, you know how it is like men body are like more physically. I'm not saying all of them are, because there could be like, let's take an example for boxing, like a woman who box definitely could beat me. I'm not saying I'm stronger than her, but I'm saying on average, you take an average woman and an average male, they're like, our males are the.
Yeah, you're saying the strength is equal.
So,
Physicality.
yeah.
Does feminism include trans women?
I think it does. I think that when, let's say, a man were to transition into a woman, a lot of the times you won't be able to tell if that person was ever born a man,
Yeah.
ever. But they will still be ridiculed like a woman, and they will still be looked down upon like a woman. In the workplace and out in public, they'll get catcalled like a woman. They will get harassed like a woman does. It is the same exact thing. Now, scientifically speaking, of course, men will just bone structure itself and bone mass and just how it is. There is a difference, and they will be stronger. That's just how it is. But if you identify as a woman and you are changing your physical appearances to look like a woman, even if you're not, you're still a part of feminism. And if it was roles reversed and it was a woman transitioning into a man, still, that they are still a part of feminism, because they will still be looked down upon. They will still not be treated equally. And feminism is all about equality, and it's point blank. They will never get treated equally. So I think it 100% does. Even if, let's say, personal views are different. We live in a society where there are so many different people out in this world, and for us to, based on our personal beliefs, try to justify a hatred towards somebody or not fully accepting somebody because of it and making them feel like they're less than because of it, something that I can't sit behind. So in my opinion, transgender people are included in feminism.
Okay. So since we're already talking about attributes and how people look like physicality and all of that, do you feel like women shouldn't be part of like male-dominated jobs? So like for example, you see someone driving a truck, like should women, drive a truck, like a semi?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, absolutely.
Should women be like male dominant? I mean, it depends. Like, let me think. Let me think about this question. Like, okay, give an example like male dom. Like, is it like only men can do this
Well,
type of
she
job?
said
or
a
is it,
woman
like,
driving a semi truck,
what's wrong
a
with that?
trucker's job. That's what she's asking.
So jobs like that, like is it okay if you like see a woman doing that? Like
Yeah, it's okay. It's just a job.
Okay, it's just a job. Okay, I like that.
No, I agree because somebody has to do it. It doesn't really matter who's doing it. It
Okay.
has to be
Because
done.
the job's getting done
Okay.
either way.
But fun fact, women who are in male-dominated professions actually go through so much because you have men that ridicule them. There was a story of like this lady working in an engineering stuff, and then she was the only female like working on repairing
Was it
stuff
like a
like that.
construction like? type of
Yeah,
job?
I think it was
I remember
construction,
that.
and then they would always like write really mean stuff to her on her like locker, and then no one did anything about it. And it's a thought that she's just there to work. Why wouldn't you let someone work? Why does it have to be like, okay, let me do this. Should they have like should we have like male dominated jobs and female dominated jobs?
Yeah.
Why?
Like, I feel like we should have jobs that's like more separated between like the genders. Like, just have like, okay, this one area filled like with men, and then the other one filled with like women. You know, like
But that's just not plausible
That could be
because
possible.
at the end of the day, well, it's not plausible though, because at the end of the day, women need men just like how men need women. I mean, we have different brains. What if I'm working in a field and I'm missing something, and you are the only person that has that key, but just because you're the opposite gender, you can't work with me on that project?
I mean, we live in a world where just technology has literally blossomed, and there are so many different fields and so many different jobs that are needed to keep this world to blossom. Separating us and keeping a male-dominated job and then a woman-dominated job, that's literally dividing the entire world, and we don't want to be divided. We are all people living on this planet. You have different thoughts than I have. I might need those thoughts. You might need my thoughts. You might not excel in your job without me, and vice versa.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we need each other to work together.
Yeah, I agree. And having like men and women in the same workplace, it allows for different perspectives because I have my own blind spots, right? So do you, we all do. So me and Ronnie could be working on something for hours on end and not figuring it out, but you might have a different perspective, and that's what gets us to finish the assignment. And I'm glad you mentioned technology because I'm a computer science major. So in my field of work, well, eventually, it's male dominated, of course, but women are starting to emerge in this industry. But what you see a lot of is they're constantly, the men treat them like they don't know like what they're doing, even though they went to sometimes even the same school system
Speak
at the
of
same
that.
degree. And it'll be things like, oh, let's say they're assigned like a coding thing or whatever, and they have like a few like coding errors. They will get belittled, insulted, just ripped apart for those tiny errors. But on the other hand, you have, I don't know, Josh. His code sucks, like awful.
All the Joshes right now
Yeah.
in computer science are like waking.
Just complete awful code, but they won't be harsh on their own.
Yep.
And when you have things like that, that's why you need more women in these types of places, so it creates a better environment. And not only that, in those types of instances, those women are often the ones that are way better than their male managers, and their managers are afraid of that
Yeah.
because she can do his job twice as good and in less time as well.
Yeah.
And they try to keep them down as much as they can so they don't look like they're competent. But why would you purposely take someone who's so talented and stunt their growth when they could literally help you and your company make millions of dollars?
Do you think it's the ego?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Men have egos, and it's hard for them to set it aside sometimes.
Okay. So since you brought up that part, I want to talk. So, you know how a man and a woman can be in the same field, example nursing, but for some reason the man always ends up making some sense more than a woman. Making more than a woman. Why is that? Why can't, since we're all talking about equality, why can't it just be like equal pay between a man and a woman, especially if you're doing the same job and we're advocating for having male and women, like men and women work for like similar roles, right, positions.
Speaking of that, a factual basis of it, every woman makes between 81 and 86 cents to every dollar that a man makes. Same job, same profession. We get paid 84 cents to every dollar that you make. So when you get a paycheck of $1, we get, why?
Where's the 15 cents going?
Where are our 15 cents?
We want our 15 cents going. Yeah.
We studied for those 15 cents. We applied for those 15 cents. We got the job for those 15 cents. Yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's systematically so oppressive, and it's just setting us up to fail. Because not only are we, that paycheck, that 15 cents, it adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Get 1,000 checks of 15 cents. It adds up quick.
Of course.
And we have bills to pay. We just like how a man does, we have the same amount of responsibilities. So, but we're also doing the same job, and there's nothing that we could do about it. There's nothing that we can be better at for us to get our pay raise. Like, it's genuinely, we can be the best workers at that place, and you would still make more than us.
Any thoughts, any comments?
I don't know why it's that way. Like, I don't know if there's a law for that that's been written and no one's just amended it yet. It shouldn't be a thing. Because at the end of the day, we're doing the same job. Like, it shouldn't matter who I am. If we are all doing the same thing, we should all get paid the same way. And that's just how it should be.
But it's almost also like comparative, just like how like as much work as we try to do, like both of us, men and women, men will always be paid higher. It's the same thing with expectancy.
Right.
We can do the same job, but the man is expected to be better than a woman. A man makes a mistake, he'll get better. He'll get training to work better. A woman makes a mistake, knew it. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that type of like, of course she would make them, especially in a male-dominated like job. If it's like construction work or computer science or computer engineering or whatever the case may be, it's tough.
Funny.
It's tough.
Yeah, true story. On my job, it's counseling, right? You're counseling people, and then you have some men that feel like they are the women counselors. So the way they even talk to you, the way they interact with you, the way they look at you, it's kind of like you're not even up to them. So it's kind of like, okay, but you want us to work together. But I have like iffy thoughts. I'm like, I don't know, because you want us to work together, but then the same man that I'm trying to help doesn't even see me as an equal. He thinks that he's more important than me. He's not going to listen to me. But watch your male counselor walk into the room, and he's a totally different person. He listens. He's doing everything. He's having full-blown conversation. And I'm like, didn't you see me? Like, you don't see me type situation. You're like, what's up with that?
You know what's funny? I read a story from long ago where I think there was these two people working in like a telephone company or something like that, had to deal with like calls and stuff. So like the woman kept receiving complaints on boss. So she changed her names, like I think she like a male coworker's like thingy, and like it just went so much easier like using just his name, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's easier to get things done that way. I put on a manly board. Hello. I do that sometimes.
Now, would you guys say that's why we have a lot of women acting like men?
It's not as feminine as.
Yeah, are you saying that they're acting more masculine?
Yeah, so they have more of this masculine trait coming out because of like, maybe what they've had to do with society or the roles they play or the jobs they do, so they have to have more of this masculine persona, and that's why we feel like, oh yeah, she acts too much like a man, or she acts like a man type word where you like hear thrown around, or she's not like your ideal, ideally you want a woman to do, so that way you think like she's acting like a man.
I see what you mean. So it sounds that they just have to overcompensate for the fact that they're a woman. So instead of being feminine, they have to be more masculine. like if we're like in a corporate setting, like in a boardroom meeting, and let's say a woman raises like an alternate opinion, people will call her catty, or like she's not cooperating enough. But if a guy does the same thing, then he's oh, that's a great idea. I don't think about this, blah blah blah, things like that. And then you'll even see like in TV shows where like if it's like a group of guys and one girl, she'll often start joking like she's one of the guys, and that kind of like gets her accepted faster into the group versus her just acting like just being herself basically. So
One of the guys. We call
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
yeah. So it sounds like that they just have to overcompensate when in reality they shouldn't have to do that.
They should just be themselves.
Yeah. I mean, like, personal opinion, I think in some instances, yes. I mean, there are, like, some people that, like, when I was younger, I used to do, like, I don't like to say it, but I used to, like, play with what boys are typically, like, meant to play with, like, Pokemon cards, like, those Hot Wheel cards, like, that was what I was into. And then as I started growing up, I got into ballet, and, like, you know, I turned into who I am now. But I definitely, being in political science, I attend a lot of conferences. I worked at SUNY, so I did a lot of things that were predominantly like men, they're male, like
dominated. And so yeah, when I say a speech or I go up and talk in front of a room, I'm very much, I put up like a stone like persona, because I don't want to, normally like I would crack jokes or like say whatever, but that I'm not going to get taken seriously. Like I'm not. If a man stands up there and he's cracking jokes with the crowd and all of that, they're going to all chuckle with him like, oh, this guy's great, this guy's funny.
Right.
I make a joke or like I do exactly what he's doing, and I'm not going to get taken seriously with what I want to talk about. So of course I do like, not completely like a masculine persona, but I definitely do act a lot more professional and like a lot more like stone than how I would like to act. Like if I was in a room full of women, like I feel like I could just talk normally with everyone. I don't need to like really build up like that character of myself. But when it's something like that, 100%, like I talk to a lot of women, like they will say the same exact thing. They definitely do put on like a different type of, more professional. And it is for overcompensating. It's almost like when a man is overcompensating, they either like yell or they're really angry, or you know what I mean, like to establish dominance. It's the same thing for women. We act a certain way as well, so we can establish our dominance. Sometimes it doesn't work, but we hope it does.
Yeah.
We really do hope it does.
So I feel like it's overcompensating, and also like just the environment, like what you brought up when you said like when it was like a group of guys and a girl and she starts, you know, being like one of the guys. It's like more like the environment. Like if a girl like grows up with her brother more, or like she has two brothers and you grow up with them more, then she'll like more manly things, you know. So it's like both the environment and also overcompensating. Like if she doesn't feel heard, so she has to act, you know, I don't know, like masculine, like she has to feel like intimidating, like the leader and stuff like that, just because she has to overcompensate for like the people who just feel like just look down on her.
I mean, it's more also not like it's not really acting masculine, because even perpetuating like a certain stance or like how you are and assuming just because you're more professional you're equating it to masculinity.
Right.
I feel like that's also pretty damaging as well, or like aiding to the divide between masculine and feminine. But I think it's just like I don't have any siblings. I'm the only child, and I think I was very fluid in the way that I grew up. I mean, I played with whatever, I did whatever, I joined whatever activities I wanted. So I think it does stem from like childhood and the people that you grow up around as well. But then when it comes to like professionalism, yeah, I think, you know, it's like different scenarios. Right. That's how I look at it.
So then would you say some people or some women might wish we went back to traditional roles?
Oh, I hate that question.
So you're basically asking, should women be traditional?
Yeah.
It
Because
doesn't
that's
matter
just
like
how
how
it is.
back then
Because
was.
back traditional means obeying every single wish of what a man wants.
It's doing, if he wants his laundry cleaned, you clean it. If he wants his dishes cleaned, you clean it. If he wants food, you cook it. And you don't have, traditional is you don't have a job. You don't have a life outside of your home, outside of your kids. That's what traditional means.
That's not aiding us. It's putting us in a box. But for a man, he has his own personal servant.
But like, okay, if a woman, if you said putting you in a box, then like, if a woman wants to be more traditional, is that something
That's
wrong?
her decision, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it should be like a stigma now, like, okay, everybody wants to go back to being traditional. I think that if women just really want to be stay-at-home moms, and they should do that, it shouldn't be like put under a label.
But I don't like the traditionalism aspect of it, because when you say that, it brings us back how many years? And back then it wasn't all like roses and sunshine and daisies, and we just didn't have to go to school. We had absolutely no rights in America, I want to say.
In the Middle East, women did get their rights a lot
Earlier.
than how they did in America. But speaking in America, it's not something that I think that any woman would want to go back to. And the sad thing is that a man will have a different opinion about it, because it will not affect them, and they won't put their feet in the woman's shoes.
So let's not speak like American tradition, like just generally, like compared to like the best traditional life on earth, like any other country, would you want people to go back to it?
But that's not a good question though, because every culture has its own
Or
tradition.
something the best, like what
There's
do you
no
consider
best. That's your opinion, whatever the best is. So I don't think that that's an appropriate question.
So why do you think women should go back to traditional roles?
Well, I think women should go back to traditional roles. It's like, just basically simply just, what's it called? Like just both genders should be like traditional roles, like whereas like, you know, the women stay at home, you know, like as long as like the man's not forcing her to like you said that women have to obey everything, as long as he's not doing something that doesn't like
But that's what traditional
go
means.
over her rights, it's like, alright then, like what's wrong with it?
But that's what traditional is. And plus we all go to the school and we all see we just had a seminar of Afghanistani women screaming for their right to get an education. It's like absolutely screaming for it.
And what the Taliban is doing is they're trying to perpetuate traditional roles onto them, making them stay at home. And that's exactly what's going on. It's not, no woman will ever tell you that she wants to go back to traditional roles. However much we say we hate school and we wish we could stay home and take like a free break or like a mental health day or whatever. Imagine getting your rights taken away because somebody else wants you to be a traditional role. That's awful. And that's just not how the world works today. Maybe back then it would have been a lot easier to go back in traditional roles, but today, how the world works, absolutely not.
But do you think it might be helpful if we went back? Would things be easier if we went back to traditional roles? Like, you know, a woman is at home, she takes care of the kids, she does the laundry, or she does, you know, traditional roles as we see it. She takes care of the husband. Not the part that she's being forced to, but maybe that's just, you know, what she might enjoy doing. Like, would it be a bad thing if we had to go back to that?
I feel like you haven't talked in a while.
But,
Answer the question.
say it one more time. I'm
Would
sorry.
it be bad if women went back to traditional roles, so like doing the cleaning, taking care of the kids and whatnot?
I would have to say yes.
Okay.
Only because for multiple reasons. So like, it's like the 40s, 50s, right? If a man left his wife, she was most likely left with nothing because she didn't have a job. Number one, and there was this thing like if you were an older woman and you weren't married, it's all something was wrong with you, like you weren't cooperative or something like that. And also we know that men used to beat their wives for essentially no reason. And some people say, oh, well, they were the only breadwinner in the home, or under a lot of stress. Okay, yeah, that's fine, but that doesn't mean you should beat your wife. And as we know today, a lot of women do not want the traditional lifestyle. If they do want to go back, then that's fine. That's their own decision. But if society just suddenly just took the switch and we went back, I don't think it would be for the better.
It would be awful.
Okay. So now, would you guys on this panel agree that cooking, taking care of the kids, it's something that a man should do and something that a woman should do? It shouldn't have like gender roles where it's like you're coming back from work and you expect food to be on the table by your wife making the food, or like a woman is like taking care of the kids. It should be like split.
I feel there's like no gender issues. Like it's not like a single gender of cook, clean, babies. Like both play their part. You know what I'm saying? Like there's gonna be one day where the wife is not feeling cooking, the man has to cook, and there's gonna be one day the man don't feel like cooking, the wife has to cook. Like it's not just like, oh, the man only works and then the woman only cooks, clean, and thingy. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. That's a great, it's a great
Yeah.
answer. I think I completely agree. I think that cooking and cleaning should just not have like really gender roles.
I think
that,
it should.
Really?
Yeah, women have been doing it for such a long time. How about
It's
the
time
man
for
does
the
it?
men to start
Yeah,
doing it.
I want my husband, like, you should know how to cook. I come home,
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we having for dinner? It's like, oh yeah, I made this. What do you think we're eating in this country today?
100%.
I want that. And I don't, I'm sorry, my family might see this, but kids are liability. Kids are a liability. I do not want to be the one to stay at home and take care of no disrespectful kid. Again, I am sorry. But I don't want to take care of no kids. So if he wants to step up to that and do that, I will happily say, okay, do it. But I feel like it gets to a point where it's like, what works with this couple, do it. Rather than just like, us generalizing, because I don't want a husband that can cook. I don't know, my mom might be pulling her hair out like, oh, I thought you were going to cook. And being African is just this idea that a woman should know how to cook, should know how to clean, should know how to do the laundry. But also,
Yeah, I don't think that women should be expected to do anything that a man doesn't know how to do.
Like, let's say, like, I get married and my husband doesn't know how to cook a meal or do his laundry, or, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's such, like, a bare minimum type thing. When it comes to taking care of kids, though, I don't know. I'm not a mom, so I can't really speak on, like, that type, but I do have a mom, and I don't think that I would have ever gotten the same love that I would have, like, if I would have gotten it out of my dad, then I would have gotten it from her. I think that women mothers, because like we are attached to mothers by the soul. I mean, we grew in their body, and I think that we'll always have a like stronger connection with not everyone, but like speaking from me personally, I think that I will always have a stronger connection to my mom. I think that she just always knew what was wrong. She was just so like warm, and women do have that warmth. Not saying that men don't, but it tends to be more on the woman's side. So when it comes to like taking care of the kids for specific things, I think like if there's no problem if like the mom wants to do it and the dad can go bathe them or something, you know what I like? I don't think that. But when it comes to like cooking and cleaning and splitting like chores, I think, and not only that, emotional support as well. I think that if a woman can have more emotional support than her husband can, I think that's a problem. I think that men should, and vice versa. If the woman has not enough like emotional senses than her husband, like, or less than her husband, I think that's awful. That's just not equal, and I believe equal household, equal everything.
And like for generals at home, I feel like it should just be a family thing. Like, hey, we're married, we are partners, and this is our home, so let's take care of it.
Yep.
So like, I'll cook, you cook, or we'll just go out, or buy some, or just order some food. Like, I'll wash the laundry, I'll wash the dishes. It's really just helping each other out. And it's like, it doesn't have to be, oh, you do this, you do that, or you just make an agreement, okay, I'll do this and you can do that. Because you could be not so good at cooking, so your partner can fill in for that role. Like, in my case, I can cook, but I can mostly only cook for myself right now. But when I do get married, I'll have to learn how to cook meals for more than just myself. And I'm willing to do that because I'll be doing that for my wife. And you should be able to make those type of sacrifices for your partner.
oh man, y'all hear that? He's gonna be cooking for his wife. That's what we want.
It's so important though, because especially in today's age, I feel like many women
Are in such high profile positions or high profile like college majors that will go into like bigger professions. I know that for my profession, I might not be home for a couple of days doing my job, or I might have to stay in the office so late I might wake up in the office, and I need to make sure that my husband can take care of our family. I need to make sure that he's able to feed our kids. If I'm so used to doing everything and my husband doesn't lift a finger or doesn't know how to lift a finger, I can't take the kids with me to work. You know what I mean? Like how are we gonna support a family? And same thing with him. I mean, if he has a high profile,
I'm marrying a chef. That's what I said. I told her, I said, I'm going to marry a chef, so I'll never have to miss a meal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's say he's something else that also takes a lot of time out of. I want to make sure that my husband, when he comes home, he is also supported, and he knows that he and his family are being fed and taken care of, and everything that comes in running a household. It has to be both. Everybody needs to, and if he doesn't know, I can teach him. Or his family can teach him. I mean, I'm sure not everybody comes equipped of like how to know what to do what. I learn new things every day when it comes to household chores. Yeah. I'm not gonna admit. Maybe next podcast I'll admit something, but I'm not gonna say it. But I'm learning every single day, and I think that just given the opportunity to learn from each other as well is such an important thing.
Okay. So, since everyone on this table, I feel like we've all agreed that maybe not going back to traditional roles might be helpful for women. But why is it, I'm not speaking for myself because I'm not doing it, but why is it that when women get married or when people get engaged, it's always the lady changes her name and then takes her husband's name? Like, why not just keep your last name? Like, why do you have to like change? Because I feel like a name is a big part of who we are. So why does she have to change her name and then take her husband's name?
Well, fun fact, in America, apparently they don't legally take their husband's name. Yeah, I just learned that. Somebody told me, they were like, legally, you don't change your name legally. You can go by it, like, outspokenly, but it stays your last name on everything. Some people choose to change it.
Yeah.
But I learned mostly here they
Yeah, you
don't.
have to do like the paperwork.
I don't think that the paper, yeah, but a lot of women are like, they have not been doing it for like tens of years now because it's too much paperwork. They have to literally restart everything, so they would rather just go by that last name than actually change it physically on paper. Which I didn't know, because I thought the same thing. Now, like, I'm Arab, so my mom, her last name changed the same, or it didn't change at all. Sorry, but my last name did, because just to show like this, because in the Arab culture, it's very much like family oriented, and you will know a person's whole life just by their last name, like who their dad. Every time I meet another Arab person, they're like, who's your dad? Who is he?
Yeah.
So it's because of that. My last name is my dad's last name, even though my parents aren't together. It's still gonna be my dad's last name. I don't sometimes I do I wish that I could change it to my mom's name, but people have to know who you came from. If that makes sense.
Right.
Like who your family bloodline stems from your dad's side.
I saw your reaction, so I was like, what do you gotta add?
As far as why we do that, I don't know off the top of my head. I have to assume that it came from European culture, maybe. I don't know why, but I do think it's like a symbolic thing, especially if you think back in the context of like hundreds of years ago, where like women were kind of seen as property. So it's kind of like, okay, this person's my wife now, so she's gonna take my last name, so people know that she belongs to me, right? And also, like you said, it kind of helps people know like who you are, essentially.
Because we have like 17 middle names, like our list goes on, like you know everybody in our bloodline, like because of that.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, like, oh, this is your cousin? Oh, I know your aunt, your cousin, your grandma, your grandpa.
Everyone.
Because it's a big part of who we are.
It's a big part of who we are.
Yeah, names are important. I don't know. I just don't know why we do it the way we do it.
I don't know why
here.
European culture does it. I don't know what the answer
Africans
is
do
here.
it. A lot of Africans, it's like a big thing. It's like, I can speak for all Africans, but it's kind of like, I can't wait to be Mrs. This. Like, it's the norm that when you get married, you change, your last name. And I remember at the park I was talking, I was like, yeah, I'm keeping my last name. And you just see this African guy's face. He was furious. He was like, you're going to give me a last name? And I was like, I am not getting into this.
It's not that serious.
It's really not that serious.
It's a name. It's serious to me. That's why I'm keeping it, right? But again, so a man who's
like
that
him getting
passionate
mad.
about
about
it, it's like that's when it comes to question like, are you just trying to like stamp your name on me to like let people
Ooh,
know that
okay,
I'm like, you
but-
know what I mean? It's like, why are you so invested in me not keeping my
last name. Yeah.
But your last name is your dad's last name,
It is
right?
my dad's last name.
What about your mom's? Is it her original last name? It's not, and that's just how working.
Yeah,
up
because
ladder.
the kids end up taking
The
your
kids
dad's
always
name.
right.
And
Doesn't that mess up too,
For
though,
me,
right?
I feel like the perfect way is you take my last name, I take your last name, we hyphenate it, and then
Yeah,
our
I
kids
love
have both
hyphenation.
last names. Like
Oh,
I do want my kids to have my last name as well. So you're gonna have two last names, so you're still gonna have
See,
that
for me,
part.
I don't want them to have
And
that.
then she's got something she's hiding, but they're gonna have both last names. But I still want to hear what Ronnie got to say about this whole last name.
So what I believe about the last name thing, women shouldn't have to take their husband's last name. Is that surprising? Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's it. I just have nothing. Just they
don't have to, they don't want to.
Yeah, I think it also depends on like where you come from. I know for us, like taking like my mom giving me my dad's last name is just to show like that that's my father. Not to like be blunt about it, but like it's like
Or a child out of wedlock. That's not very good in our culture. So, it's not as bad as it sounds. Like it's not, but that's just like how it is for us. But I like, maybe a bad example, but like, you know how, like, this Kim Kardashian did like Kim Kardashian West. I love that hyphenation at the end.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, you know, because it keeps a very, very prominent part of her, and then it also adds her husband's last name. Now they're divorced, just cut it off.
Exactly. So if it all goes downhill,
slash it out. I do think that legally though, like if I were to change my last name to my husband's, I would want to make it official. I would. Just because I feel like it's like a special like part of now our history of like where it happened. Because if it's just like word of mouth, that's not going to be like put down. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal preference.
So going back to something you said at first, because of what you said, I grew up with a single dad, and he did not show a lot of emotion. And then it was a little different. And would you say women are more emotional creatures? So they're more emotional rather than rational?
I would say women are more emotionally intelligent.
Oh, he's reframing. Okay.
I like that.
Mostly because, like, if a little girl gets hurt and she starts crying, people will let her cry, right? But if the boy gets hurt, they'll say, "Oh, toughen up, stop crying," right? And then after a while, you never really learn how to like process your emotions because you're never really like allowed to feel them in a sense. And in a woman's case, if she becomes a mother, then she's going to spend the most time with the child, of course. And that kind of enables her to be more of a nurturer. And especially if she has a daughter, she'll be able to connect with them better, I would say. And this might be a little bit of a tangent, but it's kind of like how people say that like boys are easier to raise than girls. But what that really means is that you're emotionally neglecting them because you don't really like you don't help them feel their emotions. If that makes sense.
That is so true. 100%. I think that
You're exactly right. Boys and girls are raised a lot differently, and we do have that kind of privilege of coming into our emotions and knowing how to deal with them in a healthy way. While when it's boys growing up, I feel like I see it a lot, and I actually learned about it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I see it a lot with people of color's culture as well, because it's always like it is. If it's male, like if it's a male-dominated like culture, it's very much like toughen up. You can't cry. Like move on.
Yeah.
Move on. It's done. Like just walk away. What do they say? Like brush it off.
Yeah.
That would be like stop crying if I give you something to cry.
I feel like even girls heard that part.
I would start crying.
I heard that part. I've definitely heard that one so many times. Yeah. I feel like
No, and that's sad though.
I mean, I imagine a world where boys grew up with less emotional neglect. To see like how they would be. I think that men would be a lot more empathic, and they would very much relate more to women, and they would understand women's emotions, because it's the same thing like when it comes to like understanding the opposite gender. It's going to be a little bit tough for you to understand where a woman comes from when she is feeling the emotions that she's feeling, because you didn't get to experience them yourself. So you don't know like how to either deal with it or handle it or what to say back. It could be very like, I don't know what to say right now. And that's awful. That's an awful way.
Yeah, and like it's very frustrating because like in my case, if something's like wrong with my girlfriend, like I have to stop myself from trying to give like a logical answer.
Yeah.
Or try to fix something.
Yeah.
Because not everything needs to be fixed.
We don't want to be fixed.
Yeah,
We just want to cry. We just want to cry about it for a little bit.
That's like my first initial reaction.
Yeah.
So I have to be conscious of that fact and be like, okay, I can't fix this. I can just be there for her and let her talk through her emotions in a sense.
I feel like women are more emotional than rational. Like, simply like how you guys said, being raised, and also like it's in their innate nature to like just understand people more emotionally, such as, you know, for example, like in a household, a mother would tend to her children more better and like understand her child's like emotions more better and like what he needs more better than like a father. Like I'm not saying fathers can't be good like parents, but I'm just saying like it's easier for a mother to understand what her child needs than like what a father needs. And like I don't know if you guys met like guys was like we can't just understand. We just need things like straightforward, simple, not like guessing games. Then a third, you feel me? Well, women's is like more. You gotta understand how I feel and stuff like that. So it's like women like are emotional and yeah.
I think that I wouldn't say that they're more than rational though.
I think they are.
But let me
Well-
tell you why. Oh, go ahead.
Because like when they're upset, they know they're being irrational.
Yeah.
Like they understand.
Oh,
they're
we're
being
completely aware. We know.
So it's like
It's like let us cry it out, but
Yeah.
then when we're done feeling all that, we'll know exactly how to fix it. Like we know our intuition, we know how to get rid of our problem, but we just need a minute. Like we just need to like calm down with it all. And I think that that's the healthy thing to do too, because if we're just suppressing like what we're just holding everything back and just trying to find like a solution for our problem, we are not like we're not letting ourselves like express ourselves or just let it out, and that genuinely like gives strain. Like medically wise, like it's bad for you. It really is bad for you. You just need to let it out, and then we're not dumb. Like we know exactly how to fix our problems.
I am a little bit hypocritical though, because when it comes to other people, especially when it comes to girls, and I've been really, really, really trying to work on that. I don't know where it's coming from at all, but this is just a problem that I have where if one of my friends is crying about something that I find is irrational, like, or I have a perfect solution on how to fix it, I don't know how to deal, like, sometimes with her emotions. Because I'm like, girl, just stop crying and just do this, and that.
But then when it's me, it's like everybody shut up. Like I just need to like figure my stuff out, and then I'll fix it myself. But I don't think that that's also good, because I'm not, just like how I need time to express my emotions and then figure it out later, they also do too.
Yeah.
So I understand like a lot of men's perspectives when it comes to like they're more straightforward to it, because I could be like that with my girlfriend sometimes, and it sucks and I feel so bad afterwards because I have to send them like I'm sorry text, like I didn't mean to like suppress your emotions, but like my brain is just telling me like how to tell you how to fix it. But it's something that I'm working on, and I think that it does not make a woman more or less rational just because she cries a little bit. We all want to cry. Crying is a normal thing that happens with the body. I mean, if we weren't meant to, God would have made us like filled with all these emotions and crying and tears coming out of our bodies. It's a thing that happens, and I think it's very healthy for us to express that, whether you're a man, woman, whatever, everything. All above.
So then, do you feel like a woman can be a president? Because I was watching this video, and this guy was like, no, he doesn't think we can ever have a female president because
oh my God,
women are more emotional than rational. And then he brought up a good example. It's like there's this European prime minister who, after like a few months, and she was like, this is too much, she resigned. So he was like, hey, look at that, this is the reason why we don't need women in such
Because one
power.
person said that it was a little bit too much for them, they resigned. That means that they speak for all women under the sun. I think that's ridiculous.
Not only that, being a prime minister is a stressful job.
Oh,
You're
it's
in charge
rigorous.
of an entire country.
Yep.
So like, what are your guys' answer to the question?
Yeah. Can we have a female president?
Yes.
Well, let me just plug myself really quick. Guys, 2032, I'll be running for president. I'm not here. I think that I don't think that president belongs to a man. I don't think that at all. I think that that's just how it's been all these years. I genuinely don't. I think that being president does not belong to a certain gender. If somebody's gonna try to say, oh, women are so much more emotional, like they'll do rash decisions and blah, blah. I'm sorry. Have you seen every president that we've had in every single one of our seats? Every single conflict in this world has been started by one of them. Not a single one by women. And then we do have a country that's actually amazing, Finland. Almost their entire government is filled with women. When's the last time you heard Finland getting into a war? Or
A very, very, very big altercation with another country, or anything going on in their country. Right now, I'm pretty sure they're number one in the human rights spectrum. National, like
Yeah.
worldwide. And they have a country that is led completely by women. I'm sure there's a man here and there, But I mean, I'm saying
Majority of
majority is literally all women.
Mhm.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. Now, I'm not saying that men need to completely be eradicated from like presidential seats. Absolutely not. But I think that when you finally put a different gender in that seat, you're learning from each other. You're learning from past presidents what I could do to be better next time. Like what's this president's perspective? Right now, all we're getting, this country is built on the foundation of a man. This country is being ran by men.
Mhm.
It's just,
I like to think about like what could be different. You know what I mean? Like how could things be better? And I think that is very vital to men as well. I mean, you because of what you said, growing up a certain way and suppressing your emotions. I think that mental health resources will will come out in a big way to aid a lot of men as well. And I think the education system will also be taught a lot differently, and girls and boys will started to be like taught at the same like care level, and not so much like I think educational. I mean, we're not the best in education, but like I think you know what I mean. Like that more like loving. Everybody will be more loved. I think.
I feel like we're at a space right now where there might be a woman that can rule America, but it will be hard to find that one candidate. I am a woman myself, and I feel like, just like we talked about, there's gonna be like so many people in her ears. There's gonna be so many people, and guess who she's most likely gonna surround herself with? Men. So even though she's just the face of it, she might not even be doing what she wants to do because she has this same male telling her what to do, where to go, what's the next move to play, how to play it. So it's like, yeah, we just have a female as the face for who's behind all the big ideas, the big moves. We have the men still doing it, and we just think it's the woman.
so I do want to say, I think an important part of also aiding a woman president when she does become president is also integrating more women into those high powerful positions to also help out. You can't just put a woman up there because she's gonna get it's like when you put like a sucker around a bunch of ants.
Yeah.
Like it's literally it's crazy. Everybody's gonna be like, do this, do that, do that, and they're gonna think that she's easily persuaded because she's a woman, and we've never had a woman president
That's
before.
what's gonna take time to have women.
It's gonna
feel-
take so much time, but I think that when we all get behind the same bandwagon of giving giving the same opportunities that you give men to women, it's gonna be nothing but support, and it's gonna get done. It's just how it is. Roe versus Wade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, should
I think that
is
because
should
you
abortion
two
be legal?
are men, I think that you guys should go first.
Okay.
So what do you think, Rico?
I don't think the man should have the final say, but I do think that it would be important for him and his partner to have a conversation at least. Because it wouldn't be fair for his partners to go behind his back.
Absolutely.
So I think as long as there's a conversation being held, then it's fine. Because at the end of the day, the man is not the one who's going under the procedure.
But what do you think about the government overturning
Oh,
the law for
yeah.
Wade?
Overturning Roe v. Wade was a terrible decision because now they're making it a crime to get an abortion, which is going to cause people to go to sketchy places, which makes it more dangerous. And on top of that, people are like, I think in Texas, a few women came forward that they almost died because they couldn't get like the care they needed because they were having some trouble with the pregnancy.
I
But
think in the beginning of that, 4 women did die.
yeah, and they said like the doctor said they can't treat them until they're near death.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you know when you're near death? And that was also people dying versus you just having it readily available in clinics.
Okay, so like with the government, I feel like it's their law, like it's whatever they want to put in place, and you know, it's us following their law. So personally, like, should there be laws on abortion? No, the only restriction, I think it should be case by case. Like, of course, someone gets raped or, you know, something that's like a baby's enforced to them, then yeah, you know, you should get an abortion. But like, if it's more of like your own mistake, like you do this, then a third, like, you know, if you don't use protection or something like that, or if you're not ready to have a kid and you just don't use protection at all.
That's your responsibility.
Yeah, feel me? But should a man have a say in abortion? I feel like it should, because like it's like the man's baby. Like I feel like he should have a say in what it is, and like y'all agree with me?
He's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I can't believe you're agreeing
Sounds so
with me right
surprised.
now.
Yeah. I just feel like it's crazy.
there before they start
I don't know. I just feel like it's crazy how a bunch of men can sit down and be like, oh, we know what's best for a woman's body, and then
A lot
go
of
about
old men too.
Yeah, but don't you
go
think?
about changing the law.
Yeah, but don't you think they've done the study? Like, I don't feel like government would just set
Oh,
a
they
law just
would.
because of off of.
They would.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it.
So I
No.
feel like,
But they would because they're pushing Christianity into the
Yeah.
government now.
but where in Christianity said that you're not allowed to get an abortion?
No, it's in the
It's in the
Bible.
Bible.
It's in the Bible.
Mhm.
It is.
It's in the Bible. That's why a lot of the Republicans liked it when it came out, because, again, my personal beliefs about abortion should not be imposed on someone else, and that's what I don't agree. I'm a Christian. I believe certain things should be certain ways. Like personally, even with my friends, I am going to tell you, my own views about abortion. But I think it's just totally wrong. Like imposing that on like the whole, like
Absolutely.
it's just like someone bringing a different like religion and telling me, hey Vanessa, you gotta do this. And it's like you don't
It's
even
in
take
my
it. Yeah,
religion.
you don't even take it into consideration my own like personal
Right.
feeling and stuff.
Especially since
Absolutely.
one of the defining principles was a separation between church and state for this country.
Oh, you don't even understand how frustrating it's been as a political science major and seeing the absolute destruction of church versus state. Like church and state.
So it's my point of when it comes to Roe versus Wade, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. My personal view, I will never impose my personal. As a Muslim, it is my job, my duty to inform others about what, like just education-wise, inform them about what the Quran says, and during these times especially, knock down a lot of the bridges that have been built up surrounding our religion due to the media and things on social media and everything, and the years and years of just pure hatred. I think that is my job, but just because I follow the Quran, I will never force that upon anybody else around me. If they want to, welcome. But if I would never do that, ever. And I think that that's so harmful too. I mean, just like how they're doing it in government right now. Sorry not to like go off, but they're doing it right now in government, saying that no woman has the right to literally any like this type of medical health care just because of what I believe in. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these Republican congressmen and congresswomen, that's their whole purpose of overturning Roe versus Wade, cutting off over 2.1 billion girls now do not have access to a safe abortion.
And that is causing murder. Blood is on their hands. And that's just something that I would never be a part of just because of what my religion tells me. 100% I'll follow it personally, but to try to impose that onto other people with different situations, different backgrounds, different ways of life, I will never do that. I might educate them on it, but at the end of the day, it's their personal decision.
Right. So speaking about rape, you guys already a little touched on it. What do you feel about the Me Too movement when that came out, and also like how the term is "some women cry wolf"? Like, should every female that come out and say, "Hey, I got raped," do you just take them on face, what's that word again?
Face
value.
Face value. Like you just go, okay, she said it, boom, I'm writing it with it. Let's call the cops. Let's arrest this man, especially men of color. Like, what do you guys think about women that crying wolf?
Okay. Well, yes, you should believe a victim, right? But I do think it shouldn't be let's go arrest them right off the bat, right? And mainly because there's a lot of times where there will be like an up and coming athlete, right? Most of the time he'll be black, football, basketball, doesn't really matter. And then he'll be on the cusp of going to the NFL, raising his family out of poverty and going on with his phenomenal career. But just when everything is going good, an allegation comes out against them. And that ruins their potential career for the rest of their lives, because teams will lose all interest in them. And then years down the line, someone will come forward and say, oh, that never happened. But at that point, that man has lost everything. His family might neglect him, he will lose friends, job opportunities, and even when he's proven innocent, people will still never look at him the same, because it's like, why are you even accused of that in the first place? So there's no like easy answer, because not every situation is the same. But it shouldn't be like
100. Believe them, but not 100%.
like I don't want to say like I'm doubting them.
No, but no, it's
Yeah.
understandable, especially in today's climate. Like
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from exactly, because I mean, for me personally, like if a girl says that she's been sexually assaulted, I am going to believe her
Right.
off the bat, because
I know what the justice system is like for women that report sexual assault. And but with that being said, I don't like how the justice system treats people that have been accused of that sexual assault either, because sometimes it's not correct, but they will automatically either arrest them, or it depends on who they are, what type of figure they are. Are they rich? Are they white? Are they black? Are they a star athlete? Are they a star girl? Whatever. It's very different. I think that there's something seriously wrong with the justice system, and that can also take a part of it.
yeah. But now when it just comes to like a woman saying that she got raped, I will believe her until the system proves me wrong. 100% I'm riding with that woman until it. Now, even if it was my best friend who's a guy, or my brother, or my uncle, I will still have I will believe that woman, because men can be good, men can be in your family, men can be your best friend, men can be nice to puppies, and they will still rape. It's just like that, simple. And women too, absolutely. Like, but that person can be so close to you and still have it in them to sexually assault somebody else. And I think that standing with the victim of sexual assault, because let's say it is true and you didn't believe her or him, that agony and that pain that person must be going through already, and then having their loved ones or just anybody not show support for them, I think is so damaging.
I feel like then we also like flip it. So the same person, like what if it wasn't true and now we've all ruined this man's life, ruined this man's career? Like, for example, if it wasn't true, and I am a strong advocate for women, like I've worked with women battered and all, but it's kind of like I want us to have the same grace for both parties.
Yeah.
So not like just, I'm gonna believe you 100%. We're gonna go file a report, file do the whole 9 yards, but at the same time, a little bit of grace. Like, so it's just a balance of like when you can't really tell, but still believe the victim until like, Speaking of which, there is statistics that shows that women go back to their abusers, and it takes 7 times for a woman to leave her abuser. What do you guys think? Especially with something that happened with Chris Brown and Brianna. It happened over a decade ago, and people are still holding Chris Brown. Like, people don't want to go to his concert. People don't want to do certain music with him because all the time they're like, "You did this to Brianna. Because of that, he's canceled." What do you guys think?
I think 100%. I think that everybody should just keep their hands to themselves, and when a man takes advantage of that and lays his hand on a woman, like we said earlier, statistically speaking and biologically speaking, men are more physically stronger than women. Not all of that, but majority are. And for a man to take that abuse, or take that power and abuse a woman over whatever the situation may be, I think that's terrible. Also, but when it comes to like women going back to their abusers, it's scary.
It's tough. It's really, really hard to leave. I mean, as much as you want to yell through to that person or scream through the screen and say, just leave, like pack up your stuff and just go. It is so emotionally traumatic, and it is so incredibly hard to get your life together after you've been battered. It's awful.
Yeah.
So, with the Chris Brown thing, like people say that, since she put her hands on him first, but some people say like they fought and he won. And I'm like, okay, I guess you look at it that way. But the thing is, I feel like if a woman does try to put hands on a man, I feel like he has the right to defend himself. But at the same time, I don't feel like he should take it as far as Chris Brown did. Like my father and my mother, they always told me, like, if you ever find yourself in that situation, try to just restrain them and not, like,
100%.
punch her.
You don't hit that.
Obviously.
You're strong enough to restrain.
Yeah, because if you could just restrain them long enough, then maybe they'll calm down. And as far as, like, going back to people's abusers, you could say, oh, it's Stockholm Syndrome abuse. That's like, oh, no, it's just love. They, like, disregard all the abuse and like just say, oh no, he loves me, blah blah blah. It's not as bad as it seems. But also, yeah, it can be scary to try to leave someone like that, because they're like, oh, what if I leave, he comes after me and he hurts me more or even kills me, or they just, it's all they know, and like without the person they have nothing left, so they consciously have like no option, and they're just stuck either way they go.
Regarding the Chris and Rihanna situation, is he beat her, like what you guys said, like he has more of a physical, like, you know, strength over her, and it's like, I don't, like what, like how did she look like after, like was she?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, like earlier, as we said, and what Sada says, like, men have more, you know, are stronger than women typically. So, and what Raquan said that you should just restrict them. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, he went to the extreme. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like there's no situation where you go to that, unless like your life is like crazy dangerous. But I don't even think she pulled a knife on him. So,
They were in the car and they got in an argument.
Yeah,
and
so
she,
that's-
Do
like,
you
stopped
think they
her.
should forgive him though? Because I've been to a Chris Brown concert. I feel like I just can't separate. I can't separate like the main what he did from
But-
his music, and I feel like it's been so many years. Like, do we then forgive him? Like, what if it was Rihanna who did this? Would 20 years down, 10 plus years down the line, we'd be like, oh yeah, she beat up Chris Brown. Real good.
Absolutely.
I'm never gonna go for her concert.
100%.
But is it because it's just a guy did it, and that's why we put it in?
Absolutely not.
I think that if a woman did that, if Rihanna did that, why would I give my money, like my hard-earned money, cash flow, to somebody that is literally an abuser? You cannot separate the music from the craft or from the artist because it's coming out of them. Everything that they exude, you're pouring money into.
just priority.
I can't.
So you're saying that it cannot be a mistake. That's who it is.
Absolutely not. I think because it's not the only time that he hasn't only done it with Rihanna. He's done it with Karrueche. He's done it with about all of his girlfriends. He's abused them physically and mentally. And with physical abuse comes mental abuse. And if there's a pattern, that person is just that way. Can't be forgiven.
Anyway, so like with the second question, with why do women go back to their abusers? Like Raquan said, there's Stockholm syndrome. Like if you've been with someone long enough, you are gonna feel like it's gonna feel weird, like being away from them. So like when women get away from their abuser, they're gonna be like, oh, you know, my life is nothing without them. And plus, abusers are also manipulative. So he's probably feeding her like information that, oh, you'll never be nothing without me. This, that, and the third. He's probably like her main source of income, cut everything off. So when she leaves, she has nothing. She thinks no one's gonna believe her, and that's why they go back to abusers because they feel comfortable. And such as with like, you know, how America was before. If we have those same parents showing like they're always fighting, always hitting each other, this, that, and the third, and yeah, they're gonna think, oh, you know, it's normal for me to get beat by whoever I'm with because my parents did it. So it's like what you said with traditional roles, where back then women used to get beat by their husbands and stuff. So going from this generation, gonna think, oh, since my parent did it and my parents know more than me, then it's like, you know, something that's in a relationship where you have to get beat by your husband, especially since he's, you know, like how society portray as men as dominating and stuff. They think, okay, this is part of a natural relationship.
All right. So we're gonna end it here. But before we do, what is one word when you hear the word woman? What's one word that comes to mind?
I don't want to hear strong.
I was gonna say strong.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Life.
Life,
I'll say home.
home.
I also agree with you. Home.
I would
I
say
would say
strong.
love.
And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching our second episode, and see you soon. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. If you want a part 2 of this conversation, we'll be happy. I'm sure the panel will be happy, but stay tuned for more episodes.